Hi Trini,
Hello, Jemima.
how are you?
Very well.
What are we doing today?
We're doing jeans and it's very requested and it's back to basics, and I want to go through all different jean shapes for different body shapes and how I think you can make the most of your shape, height and definition by the type of jeans that you wear and which jeans are best for which body shape. I'm going to start with one of the most commented on jeans I have, which is the wide leg Zara jean, and I love them because they feel really modern. They're high-waisted but they're flared.
Yes, that's their style.
That is the
High-waisted
style.
and flared.
Yeah.
And who do they suit?
Well, if you are petite, can you wear this jean? I think you can, but you have to be aware of the length of the jean and how you can also get it to your length and still have the proportion of the shape. So I'm going to talk to you through taking up jeans first if they're not your length. And I saw something on TikTok which I'm going to try and remember, which is you turn up the jean, all right,
Yes.
and then you take where that location is and you stitch that down.
Oh.
All right, you go over that stitching and stitch it down, and then underneath it you cut it off,
Okay.
and then when you turn it over you'll still have this finish.
Oh.
Do you see?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so you get that look to it, so you just go over where it's been stitched before. If you're petite with a very short leg and a long body, that's when it might be most challenging to wear.
Okay.
But if you're in proportion, and that means that the length from your crutch to your neck is similar from your crutch to your ankle. That's proportion. If you're short-bodied, the distance between your crutch and your neck will be maybe 3 or 4 inches less than crutch to ankle.
So that's what you need to work out first.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you, Jemima, you're very high up with that.
Yes, I am. I'm like the opposite of you. Everything you say, I'm like, okay, got to do that, but the other way
Got to do the
around.
opposite.
Yeah.
So the worst jean, I think, for somebody really long-legged and very short-bodied is a very high-waisted skinny jean, because you just look all jean and you go from your waist to your boob. You know, there's
Yeah.
no differentiation. So you want to do a low to mid-rise. You don't want to do a high-rise, because otherwise it goes in again over your tummy higher up, and that's when people think I have a tummy. So if you hit it on that, let's say your tummy goes out in a dome, you want the jean to hit middle of that dome, not above that dome, because a jean has a thick fabric which will over accentuate the tummy.
Yes.
Double denim's a classic. Now, are there rules around double denim? I'd kind of say that if you are top heavy, then make a darker double denim and a slightly lighter on the bottom half. If you're in proportion, it doesn't matter. And if, like me, I am probably in proportion, but there's times in my body shape when I've been proportionally bigger on the bottom, and then I've always got used to the habit of wearing slightly lighter on top.
Yes.
So that's another rule. And this is just one of my favourite looks. And I don't usually wear belts. I haven't for years ever worn belts with jeans, but I'm feeling more that I could do that. This, I'd probably tuck the top over and bring it down. And I'm not doing anything to break up my body.
No, you're not. Why is that?
Because I don't want to break up my body. Even though I'm tall, I just believe we should do everything we can in dressing not to break up our body too much.
And with double denim, will you keep neutral makeup or would you do a pop of red?
It depends at the moment. I've literally done sheer Shimmer and Weasie because I wanted to have that bronze look, because I wanted that feeling of I've been in the sun look to my makeup. There are certain denims where I veer heavily towards a bright red lip, and that's generally where I'm wearing a striped top. For this, I'm actually going to lean into Weasie Sheer Shimmer, because there are some days when I want to feel the inspiration of a 90s makeup, which had elements of that brown in it. And the joy of Weasie is that I do tend to use it as a sort of gloss for my eye, and then I'll put a little bit even on my forehead, which seems odd, but it's when you want the bronzer and the highlighter and the blusher to all be one. And I can take this away for a weekend and feel I've done my whole face with one product. And I think Weasie is the one that I do that best with. I'm going to talk about the difference between a bootleg and a flare. So to me, a flare starts to flare above the knee. So if you're very aware of your knees, if you then had a bootleg, you might think, I see the outline of my knee too much. So this is when a flare is more flattering.
It is. It's not gripping to your thigh.
It's not gripping. I'm going to show the difference between the two. And I think that you can get stretch jean fabric and you can get stiff jean fabric. And there's merits of stretch, because I always used to get a tummy ache if I had tight jeans and it didn't have any stretch in it. But when you're doing the bootleg, which I'm going to show you later, it's not such a stretchy fabric. These are actually from Frame, and I haven't seen this styles so much in high street.
And this is a great colour denim.
It's a lovely colour denim, and this is fractionally darker on top, so I don't want you to I don't want to feel I'm disobeying my rules, but because it's got quite dark here, I don't mind. And because there's the drama at the bottom, I like to add drama at the top.
Yes.
And with a bootleg, I won't necessarily feel the need to add the volume at the top. If you feel you're pear-shaped, I think this is a great shaped jean. Pear-shaped and short-legged, and you can wear it with a platform underneath. So you could either take up the hem and wear it with a stacked trainer, because that's going to give you the length the jean deserves to put your body in proportion. Yeah. Whereas if I wore this with a really flat sandal, I could be a bit squatty.
Oh yeah, it's total different.
It's a total difference. So it does need room for the jean to find its flow at the bottom and have something solid at the bottom. So if we're looking at going out for evening time, I might put a shoe on that would be, I'm going to give you the wrong example, like I'd never put a shoe on that would do that, because it's a bête noire of mine, and I think that it looks like the jean is the wrong length.
Okay.
Okay, so it would have to be that's going to be so much better. When it goes down, you see a little bit of the stacked wedge, and because I'm not in a stiletto, you don't feel a little heel and that it's obviously the wrong length. When you see much more of the shoe at the bottom, you don't feel it's a tiny bit too short. I mean, this is still a chunky heel, but just showing you the difference. If you've got the heel and you see too much of it, it's kind of okay, but it's slightly different than a wedge.
It cheapens the jean. I think it doesn't look premium. If it doesn't look like it doesn't fit you properly, then it doesn't. Yeah.
So it is about having the perfect length in a jean.
Like that's the last thing I would think about, because you just want it to fit your waist, your bum, your legs, but fitting the length is so important.
I'm thinking now, would I belt this jean? It's a more elegant jean than my wider Zara. So if I belt it, I could do a number of things. I could make a feature of the belt and do something that feels that it's got a bit of the colour of the jean in. So I'm not totally alienating my top from my bottom half. You can either put the double in there, which would be nice, or you could do this kind of moment where you just pull it up and then tuck it through and just make a feature.
Cool knot.
Like that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the difference between that, where you've still got the flow, you know how we sometimes talk about belts that don't fully come together. So if you have a short waist, about wearing those belts where there's a buckle, where you still see your body behind it, so you don't break it. So I feel with that, I'm not breaking my body. Whereas if I put a different belt on, you might see the difference. You're going to be taken in by how glorious this is.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love it.
You love it with it?
Yeah.
I think it's also because it's metal.
Because it's silver.
Yeah.
And it's silver, and it just makes, I mean, that's made it into an evening outfit. In a way, by just changing the belt, we've slightly taken it day to night.
Yeah, you have.
Haven't we?
You have.
Yeah, and then I could just make them more gently low rise, put on my silver, and doing all my extremities in silver. Pull that down. You've got that little bit of silver poking out, and your nighttime bit of sexy makeup, a red lip maybe.
Nighttime jean.
This is if you have a long body and short legs, because Molly brought this and said, what about this as a waistcoat? And I think when you do a jean which is high-waisted and it hits at the waist, but the waist of the waistcoat is higher, it feels like my crutch is long. So it's just, that to me is like unfinished.
Okay, so what would you do it with?
So I wouldn't do this waistcoat because I don't want the width there. I want to do something which does a different shape for me. So I could be loose like that. I hardly ever do that. But because it's such a long leg making jean, I can afford to bring my waist down a bit and I don't feel my legs have become short.
Yeah.
Then if I add on a waistcoat, it will give you a great gradient to my waist. So the waistcoat I think is going to end higher, I'm hoping, like that. So you've got back in the waist.
Yeah.
I could even do it up a bit. So even though that's lower, this is for somebody who maybe is nervous of muffin topping.
Yeah.
And so it's got the fit here. The other one went out too early. And it's got something underneath. So I'm not having that there. All right. I've got this thing to soften that area.
Oh, it looks really like well put together, doesn't it? Yeah.
Because the tendency might just be have the top from here to hide my tummy.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, put something on over which brings your shape back into play and stops you being square bob sponge pants in the upper half. And I'm going to show you the difference between wearing it like this and the shape I give my body, which is out, in, out with a flare, or wearing without the waistcoat, without the t-shirt underneath. So it's just changed it.
Yeah, it has.
You know, and it's just hasn't given emphasis to giving me the best flow to my shape. And again, we're back to that thing where this is a little bit better because it goes lower, but there's something here which isn't so nice.
I do really love this look though.
Yeah, so then the way I would wear this look is with the jacket with it, so that I bring back the shoulder, but I've got the sexiness of the waistcoat underneath. I think what I love about a waistcoat for me, because my tummy is not an issue, is it goes up to give a length to my leg, even though it's going down here. And then I'll add some necklaces on here. And then I could either do my sort of sexy moments. This is, by the way, ME+EM, and the jeans are Alice and Olivia.
I know, can we talk about the jeans?
Yeah, the jeans.
They're just
the
amazing.
Jeans, they are great. I veer from loving them to not loving them, but putting them on now, I'm reminded how much I do like a really good bootleg. And this is between that bootleg and flare that we discussed, because do you see they're still going out here, which is why these jeans are so clever. Whereas if it was going out like that, sometimes if you have a bow knee, or you might have, you know, you might be bowed legged a bit, it will emphasize a bowed leg. So if you have the flare starting from above your knee, you can hide if you have a bowed leg.
Yeah, and I think they're really worth the investment, because the amount of times you've worn these, and like, you can't get that cut on the high street.
You can't get that cut on the high street, you really can't.
Oh, it's just
and
amazing.
I even feel good about the jacket ending here.
Yeah.
Because even though my bum is hanging out underneath it, which yours wouldn't, being a short-bodied, long-leg girl,
Noted.
I've got the very long jean to compensate for my thinking that my torso looks too long.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I love this.
Polo-necks can be fabulous and very sort of French Jane Birkin-ness, and there's something about wearing a jean and keeping everything very clean. Even Daffy agrees with that. So because the jean I'm wearing is giving me a very long leg, I can afford for my torso to go all the way up to here, because what a polo neck would do is elongate the torso. So if you were wearing a shorter jean, I would say, and I do this a lot with polo necks, is bring it down and tuck it in, because it will make your torso shorter.
Okay, who does this suit you? Because I feel really uncomfortable when I wear a high polo neck and jeans.
I think for you, because you're so short-waisted, if you wear a polo neck and you don't have a boob, it's nice being short-bodied.
Yeah.
But if you also have boobs, it makes you feel this is just one thing.
Yeah.
So if you have any polo necks, I would just turn them down and make them a round neck. And maybe you could put a necklace on to make it a V-neck as well. So with this, I might take, just to break up, you could do something high, but it just gives a gentle V.
Yeah.
Or you could take something lower, a really big collar necklace. And you could do this in a V like that. And there are lots of necklaces that have that shape.
Yeah.
So instead of just a thin chain, this gives 3 parts to your top and will break your boobs in half.
Okay.
So it acts like a sweetheart neckline top, which is your best shape to wear. I would also think to myself, would I consider, if I had your lovely shape, putting on a waistcoat to act as that V-neck moment. So using a similar shade is quite good. I would never do darker with lighter on top, but I might do lighter with slightly darker on top.
Yes.
And if we look close up, it gives a shape to the jumper now. I feel that this is going to be a winter look for me. This, for me, is smart, chic, understated.
There's some colour on the rail, Trini, and I know we've done a lot of like similar tones.
Let's get into colour and how we wear it with jeans.